Welcome to Why Don't We Dress for Dinner Anymore with our host, fashion umpire and senior style icon, Teddi Krochman.
And Melissa Pierce, entrepreneur, natural redhead, and considering being a party clown. It's a private joke. Anyway, today we'd like to welcome our guest, Sandra Silverman, who has recently written a book called From Bullshit to Botox. So I just want to give you a little bit of background about our guest before we start our lively chat.
All right.
Sandra Lena Silverman, known as Sandy to her friends, is the author of From Bullshit to Botox, a book focusing on Sandy's personal anti-aging journey and her advice about anti-aging procedures, beauty products, and her inner anti-aging experiences. As part of her determination to turn back the clock on aging, she's tried every skincare product, treatment, procedure, and surgery from laser, Botox, and filler to facelifts and breast surgeries. She's also tried every technique to feel young inside, including holistic medicine, life coaching, and personal training. The result is that most people think she's at least a decade younger. Sandy is currently 53, and she's ready to share her anti-aging secrets in her current book. Welcome, Sandy, to the show. We're really happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Teddi. Thank you so much for inviting me.
And we've been following each other on Instagram, and I love your page and all the things that you show, and you look darling in all your clothes and everything.
Thank you so much.
we just want to dig into what made you decide to put this book together? Because I know you've said in the past, I believe, Sandy, you've had like up to $300,000 worth of plastic or cosmetic surgeries. So could you tell us what inspired you to write a book about that particular journey? What was there a kind of a overall purpose of writing the book? Kind of fill us in.
A eureka moment?
Yes, there was. Because I've touched every inch of my body, or have had work on every inch of my body except for my left foot over the years.
Something.
Friends, family, friends of friends would ask me just questions about different procedures, different beauty treatments. So I decided, since I was a go-to person for so long, why not just write a book? That way, all the information's in the book. I'll have experts in the book as well. And that way, it's sort of a guide for women to use instead of me having, to answer questions.
Right. So it was more like, I'm tired of the one-on-one. Let's do one-to-many and get it over with.
So that basically was the inspiration to write the book, plus empowering women to make them feel like it's okay. Do as much as you want to yourself, as long as you look natural and as long as you're doing it for yourself.
Well, I agree with you. I think
Yeah.
It's very important if you're going to have any kind of procedure done or whatever, that it refreshes you or makes you feel like you look better, but you shouldn't look like, and I've seen so many women like this, you're not one of them, but I've seen so many women who look like wax figurines of their younger self, so it's almost like if they don't move, they look fine. But the minute they start moving, or should I say not moving, it's quite clear that they're not a young person. They're just an older person who's had everything frozen on them.
So they're in that uncanny valley. It's kind of like, is it like watching, watching those AI videos?
Yeah, it's almost like, you're looking at a hologram of somebody's younger self kind of a thing. In fact, one of the questions that I really wanted to ask you, because I know you've had, like you said, everything done but your left.
Yes.
And I know you've talked about it in the book. If you were going to name the procedures that you regretted, what would be the ones that you would advise people maybe to be extra careful about or stay away from?
There are two procedures that I've done that I absolutely regret. One would be liposuction in my knees and stomach. And when I did the liposuction, it was in a doctor's office. And I don't feel like she was a dermatologist, but I feel like she wasn't experienced, and she told me that she was. She took out a lot of fat around the knee area and my stomach. And unfortunately, because of that, now I have a lot of sagging skin. So I have to continuously put filler in my knees, lift the skin with body threads. And for my stomach, because she took so much out, and that started to sag. I had to get a mini tummy tuck.
Oh, wow.
So you had to have procedures to correct procedures.
Yes.
And for the knees, because there's not a lot of surgeries you can do around them, you're having to do other things. I hadn't even heard of threading until this moment. Can you explain
So
that?
there are PDO threads, there are body threads, face threads, neck threads. The body threads are obviously stronger and larger than what you would put in your face, and they're effective. So I do body threads a lot because of the knee issue that I have. I'm not quite there yet to cut the skin. I did, however, cut my elbow skin, which that procedure was done 2 years ago, and the scars are healed now. Now I'm about to camouflage the scars with the tattooing, so flesh color, so that the scars aren't going to be as noticeable. That same doctor in New York will cut the knee skin above the knee. I have not done that yet. I'm thinking about it, but that's a procedure that is going to leave a scar for at least 2 years. So I'm trying to correct the issue with the threads and the filler, but it is an uphill battle and I have to do it quite often.
Yeah, the knees are a challenge. I always tell Melissa, I hate my knees. You know how I do, and people laugh, but it really works. I still, at the age of 71, have really good legs, but my knees, I hate them because they're wrinkled. So I never wear short skirts because I still like to wear short skirts. I never wear short skirts without wearing some kind of hose. Like in the winter, because we're here in Chicago, I could wear tights or fishnets or whatever. In the summer, typically I'll do self-tanning on my legs. So that kind of camouflages the wrinkles a little bit too. Or I'll stick on a pair of, and people laugh. I had our Boston friends remember laughing hysterically at me, but I'll still wear those darn pantyhose because I'm telling you, it's like an instant lift for your knees. So that's my secret as far as the knee stuff.
And I'm just going to start a revolution where people go back to rouging and drawing pictures of faces on their knees. So, I mean, if you're not ready for surgery, you can join me in starting this trend.
That's a great idea.
So anyway, Sandy, what age were you when you started to look into cosmetic procedures? And could you
26. So the first surgery I had was breast augmentation at 27. And then just a few other procedures until my mid 30s. So I had rhinoplasty. And after I had my son, I had body sculpting. It was sort of like a liposuction, but not to take out fat, more to redistribute the fat.
Yeah. Right. And a lot of women have this done after they have children. They do just a little zip. Yes.
So I had that. So I didn't really start the process of a lot of procedures and beauty treatments until later on, probably more in my 40s. So I had a few procedures, some CO2 in my 30s, which is the skin resurfacing. I've had, Botox, filler, that sort of thing. Not really, mostly in my 40s. I would say in my 40s, I had my facelift. I had complete vagina reconstruction, which was more medical at the time.
Yeah.
Than cosmetic. And I talk about that in the book.
I know that you said in the book that you felt your 40s was like a disaster as far as personal appearance. Could you tell me what you meant by that? Like what? Because I've looked at your Instagram page, and I think I've seen pictures as far back as you from 2019. And you were fabulous in all the pictures. So I'm trying to find the disaster look because I couldn't find any disaster looks. So what did you think made you look like feel or look like a disaster at that particular point in your life?
Well, I started in my 20s and 30s. I always looked good. And by 40, my face started to change. And that's what happens as we age. The structure starts to change.
How did it change for you, would you say? How did it change for you?
I guess my face was a little bit wider than it was when I was younger, but I realized over time was because my lymphatic system wasn't working as well as it had previously. And I didn't realize that until COVID, that I had lymphatic issues because my face always looked swollen. So that was upsetting to me. And at one point I did a fitness competition. Maybe you saw those photos online from 2013.
No.
At that point, I think I was 43, 40.
Okay. No, I don't think I looked far. Okay.
Okay, so during that time, I was in great shape. So I did a fitness competition.
So
I didn't have a lot of inflammation.
Yeah, you're in your 40s. You're very active.
But I didn't look like I did in my 30s and my 20s for sure. I definitely looked older. And then I started developing a lot of sagginess in my jowl area. And that's really common, for women in their 40s to start noticing. It literally drove me insane. Like I'm constantly in the mirror all day long, lifting. So that led me to doing what is called a Y lift. And I found that doctor on Good Morning America. I wanted to get a facelift. My mother at the time talked me out of the facelift. I promised her that I wouldn't do the facelift. So I see this doctor on Good Morning America from New York. And at this time, I lived in Maryland doing this Y lift. And I thought, wow, this is the answer to all my prayers. I'm going to New York. I'm doing this Y lift, which basically it's his technique that he created. And it's a lot of filler that he uses with the cannula that's going deep into the muscle to lift. So you look more sculpted.
Okay.
Where that's, in theory, that's what you're supposed to look like.
It's a specific kind of facelift, or it's a different procedure altogether?
No, it's not a facelift. It is a facelift, but it's with filler.
Okay, so they're adding something instead of just pulling your skin up tight.
So they're adding. So for me, he used a cannula, which means it's more of a rounded edge, and he went deep into the muscle for lifting purposes. So it's supposed to sculpt and lift up.
So interesting. I didn't know that was possible. That's amazing.
Yes, and it was very successful. So I did the Y lift. I was super happy. Unfortunately, 2 years later, it dissolves. I went back to the same doctor for another Y lift. And instead of sculpting like he had done before, he pie faced me. So he put so much filler and rounded out my face. So my face looked like a big round pie.
Oh, wow.
So he didn't do the same procedure the same way. So he pie faced me, and that was the biggest disaster. So here I'm walking around with a pie.
And I did about it, and I'm like, oh, I've seen women with that.
Yes, he pie faced me, so I didn't know what to do. So I found a doctor in Miami, a dermatologist. Her name is Leslie Bauman, and she tried to remove the filler. And yes, you can use, solutions to remove filler, but this was so much filler. So even over time, we're trying to remove. I'm still pie faced. This went on for like a year. My lymphatic system's not working well. Everything's a disaster. So then I got to the point where I finally said, I'm getting the facelift. So I started looking online at before and after photos. I found Andrew Jacono, who's in New York. His before and after photos were insane. I've never seen anything like it in my life. This was before he was famous that I found him. I flew to New York. I met with him. I explained, I've had threads. I've had this filler. He said, no problem. I can make your face, cut the sagging skin, do a temporal lift, make your face look like it did when you were younger. I'm like, great, I'm sold. Schedule the surgery. It was amazing. I have before and after photos in the book of the facelift and in the People magazine
for that, because I didn't
article. If you saw that article, and I'm super happy. So at 47, I got the facelift that I should have gotten
all along, that your mom talked you out of.
Exactly. Yeah. So I would have saved myself so much time and heartache had I just listened to myself.
That's why you say your 40s were a disaster for this, because you had one procedure that just wrecked everything.
Wrecked everything.
And that's the book. So you're trying to help guide people through how to do this.
For me, I feel like it's super important. And he explained that to me as well in his office. He said that the best results he can give a woman is doing a facelift in her 40s. That's the most natural you're going to look. And you can maintain after that with a little bit of filler, a thread here, a thread there, some Botox. But when you're playing catch up and where you're trying to get a facelift in your 60s, it's more difficult for those surgeons to make you look as natural as you can look in your 40s. So I emphasize that in the book as well. Because for me, it's been easy. I go once a month to my injector. We look at my face. We look at my lips. Is there something that I need? And I do such a little bit each time that it always looks natural.
Go once a month then?
I do go once a month to her. Wow. And that's not just for the face. It would be, do you need a little bit of filler in your knees? But I do such a small amount each time.
Right. So this is part of your normal maintenance then. It's like people go get their nails done every 3 weeks. You just go visit your dermatologist.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Basically.
So what's your goal, Sandy? Because I know I read in your book that your goal was to stay looking 20 years younger I'm sorry, your goal is to look the same way you look now for the next 20 years. So that would
Yes.
bring you to the age of 73. So what happens at 73?
I don't know. At 73, I may just at that point, I'll probably just be tired and just embrace it.
Be tired of doing all of the body.
Yes, but that is my goal. And as of right now, I have the energy to do that. I'm in the gym 6 days a week. I'm very strict with my diet. I make sure I get at least 100 grams of protein each day. I do the lymphatic work every day, use the red light therapy mask.
Lymphatic working, are you doing your own like lymphatic massage?
So lymphatic massage with the gua sha, with a fascia blaster for the entire body. I have to do this because my lymphatic system does not work like everybody else's. So I have to do this every day. Otherwise I look puffy.
So you do the lymphatic massage. That takes a few hours?
No, between weight training for an hour and then after that is lymphatic massage, but it's not just the face, it's the entire body. So it's the front, the back, the face using the red light therapy mask.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's like a whole body maintenance system that you have to go through. This is like living with immunocompromised. Everyone I know who's immunocompromised has this long regime of things they have to do just to be normal.
It's a commitment for sure.
So, yeah. Well,
and you have to stay consistent.
How many hours a day would you say you devote to working out, your lymphatic thing, your skin? I think you said you have a 10-step skincare routine. You do both morning and night.
I would say 3 hours.
3 hours a day
total.
I'm maintaining your appearance.
And that's not even including appointments. That's just regular maintenance. That wouldn't include getting a facial, dermaplaning, microblading, eyelash extensions.
Wow.
Oh, sure. I'm like, okay, but it takes me an hour to get ready in the morning. And, I go to the gym for an hour.
Yeah, but she's doing more. That's just.
Well, I'm like, it's 2 hours
for before
me,
she's even put the makeup on.
But she worked out. Right? Oh, that's before you put the
No, that's before she got dressed.
Oh,
that's everything that she does on top of what you do.
It's a lot.
You know what? I did read this book, I think in my 20s. It was like how to get ready for a date in 6 hours or less. So I loved it so much. I did love
the same
it. I
thing.
was like, yes, it's the same thing. So that is a lot.
Well, let me ask you something, Sandy. So what is it about aging that kind of throws you off? Yeah, I don't know how else to put it, because your face was sagging a little bit, although I'm surprised because typically in your 40s, in my 40s, I didn't sag at all. And Melissa is 48 and I don't see a sag on her face.
I do. That's funny.
Well, you're probably looking in an enlarged mirror or something because there's no sagging going on.
You got it. She's
48 years old. I don't have cataracts.
I know.
But what I'm saying is, what made you look in the mirror and say, I can't live with this? Because we're all aging. It doesn't matter how much plastic surgery you get or how many things you do. You're still going to be 53. You're still going to be 63. You're still going to be 73.
But
we all die,
Mm-hmm.
So the point is, what is it that makes you want to put this much energy into looking a certain way?
Right. She did have a full year of feeling like she looked wild.
Well, I'm asking her the question.
Yeah.
Be quiet.
Okay, sorry.
It started at 26 when I met my husband. He made a comment to me when I first met him. It was a month into the relationship. And he looked at me and he said, wow, you're really soft. Your body's really soft. You should go to the gym. I never thought there was something wrong with me until I heard that comment. And I think subconsciously, that's what sparked this. And then over the years, after doing a lot of life coaching and a lot of work on myself, internal work, that I realized I'm actually doing this for me and not for anybody else. But I think what started this was subconsciously feeling insecure after that comment. Because to be honest with you, I never thought there was something wrong with me until I heard that comment. And that was from somebody that I was dating, who I ended up marrying. We were together for 27 years and now we're getting divorced. So I think that's kind of what started the path. But now I realize that I do this for myself and not for somebody else. And I emphasize that in the book as well. Like, you shouldn't do this for other people. I think that's what started this journey.
Yeah.
Just not feeling good enough. And then there were issues in the marriage. And at times he was looking at other people. And I think it just really played with my head.
Yeah, because you got boobs basically, what, at a breast lift at what, 27? Was it?
I had implants at 27, and that was partially because he had made comments, not about me in particular, but, oh, I dated this girl and she was this size. And subconsciously, I was probably thinking, oh, I should be that size too.
Right. The things we do to gain people's approval.
Which is ridiculous. And I talk about that in the book as well. Like, you have to do these things for yourself, because I started out not doing them for myself, which now I definitely do everything for myself. But subconsciously, I feel like that played a part in this.
Oh, it obviously did.
Yeah.
And I can just tell you from a clinical viewpoint, because I'm retired now, but I was a licensed clinical social worker and I ran a behavioral health department at one of our hospitals. And we saw many women with body dysmorphic issues, and many of them, when I asked that same question, the response, Sandy, it's amazing. It's always some remark that somebody important to that person made to them, either a parent or a significant other who made a remark about their body or their face or whatever, that just stuck with them and got in their psyche. And it seems to drive their self-image from that point on. And it sounds a lot like that's what happened with you, Sandy. You were probably you're gorgeous now. I'm sure you were gorgeous when you were in your 20. And that insensitive remark that your soon-to-be ex-husband made literally drove your brain into a spiral. And it sounds like you weren't realistically seeing yourself in the mirror. You were seeing what you thought he was seeing, and then you thought you needed to correct that. And
that's how it started, for sure. And then I had my son at age 32. I gained a lot of weight during my pregnancy. I gained 60 pounds. And you would have thought that I stabbed this guy in the heart, because he took it so personally that I gained 60 pounds. He could not stop making fun of me, calling himself a whale watcher during my pregnancy.
Oh my God.
I'm so glad you're getting a divorce. Can I just tell you?
I know. I know. The best decision I made. However, a month after I had my son, I still had 40 pounds of weight to lose, because, after you have a child or have a baby, the first 20 pounds go away the first week.
Yeah.
So after that, my girlfriend called me. She lived in New York and she wanted me to come up for the day and basically have lunch, go get our eyebrows done, just to have fun, just to get me out of the house. So I was leaving the house and he said, "Where are you going?" And I said, "Oh, I'm going to New York. I'm meeting Ashu. I'm just driving up for the day, getting my eyebrows done. We're going to have lunch." He looked at me straight in my face and he said, "Eyebrows? I wouldn't be worried about my eyebrows if I were you when I look like that. I would go to the gym." So I didn't know what to do, because I've never gained this kind of weight before, but I just had a baby.
Yeah.
You're allowed to recoup your body.
Yes. And he just could not handle it. Well, I went from 120 pounds before I got pregnant to 180 during the pregnancy to doing this body sculpting in October. So I had my son in March. By October, I had 10 pounds left to lose. Did the body sculpting, and then I was down to 115 pounds by Christmas. My body looked better than it ever had, even before I had my son. And it was fine. And he looked at me after that and said, "Wow, I never thought you would recover."
Wow. So there was nothing really supportive coming from him.
He literally thought he was going to have an obese wife for the rest of his life.
What I can't believe is that no matter what you did, he didn't have a compliment for you on the other end of that. It was almost like you've heard of the backward compliment or a sideways compliment, where it's like a compliment with an insult woven in there. It's almost like he was constantly undermining you. No matter what you did, I never thought you'd look, but whatever. Why? Because
his own insecurities, basically. He's a very insecure person, and his own insecurities drove him to that, because it wasn't really about me. It had to have been about him.
Absolutely. It was 100%.
It was his perception of you.
Ask you something. What does your husband look like? Is he
He's
some
good
big
looking.
hunk?
No, he's good looking.
He's very good looking. Is he?
He's good looking. He keeps himself in shape. And now at age 57, he would never act like that. And he's like, I should have never treated you like that. That was wrong for me to do.
It sounds like you both grew.
Yes.
Thankfully, because you went through this whole thing where you're changing your body for your husband.
Yeah.
But then you're like, you know what? This is my body and I can do with it what I want, which is where it sounds like you came out the other side of that.
I did.
I'm so proud of you. I love you so much.
Thank you so much.
What made you decide to leave him? Was it finally the way he was talking to you?
No, 4 separations. He's left me 4 times. A lot of infidelity. And I don't even think I was as upset about the infidelity as I was about him constantly leaving or telling me that he wanted to leave. So for the first 12 years of our marriage, sexually, everything was fine. Then in 2008, he looked at me and said, I'm not sexually attracted to you. I don't want to sleep with you anymore. And that's when I should have left. Yeah. And my kids were small. I had 2 kids. They were both young. I was 38. I should have left in 2008. I didn't. My father tried to convince me. He said, this is emotional abuse. This is a control factor with this person. Absolutely. You have to leave. Then my dad died. So he died. And then after I was going to leave, then when he died, I just didn't. And I never really wanted to break up the family. But moving forward for 15 years, my husband was trying to leave me at least once a year. He left 4 times.
Oh, wow.
This summer was basically the end. So this summer he looked at me. We were on our family vacation in Idaho and he said, I'm leaving, packing my bags. He left. He didn't even say goodbye to our kids. He came back to Miami. He moved into an apartment. He had another person he was seeing, and that was it. I filed for divorce the next day. I blocked him. He was blocked for 3 months. And then unfortunately, I broke my wrist and my tailbone. He showed up at the hospital. So that kind of ended our no contact.
Yeah.
He and that person are broken up now. Yeah. We're friends, but I would never go back. And the reason is, and it's not because of a sexual thing where, because a lot of men cheat. I understand that. I don't think it's right, but they do. And that just is life. What upset me the most was the fact that he was always trying to leave me. Because what that does to your nervous system,
what do you think that was about? The constant wanting to leave you. Do you think that was a control thing, like to keep you in line? And if he threatened you, that maybe you'd go and you'd, pretty up a little bit more for him,
maybe
kind of dance.
But to live with that kind of like to have a nervous system like that and that kind of anxiety, I would never wish that on anybody. Yeah. I was always, my nervous system was so bad because I was always on guard.
As you're talking about your nervous system and what that was like, we can see you get activated in your body.
Yes.
So take a deep breath and tell us about reclaiming yourself, because it almost sounds like you are taking back the years that he took from you with all of these procedures and what you're doing for yourself.
I am. And I was really happy about the book because it gave me my own independence. Because before, during the marriage, we owned a company together. We started it together, residential lending company, before we got married. And since I decided to file for a divorce, it felt so empowering. Plus, I had the book being released. So we split up in July. The book came out in November. And it's just been amazing because I have my own independence now away from him.
Good.
And I don't have the nervous issues that I had before. The anxiety's gone.
Great.
My nervous system is good.
Sounds like you cut a lot of weight.
Yes. I feel like a different person and I'm happy.
Good. Yeah. Well, we're glad that you came out the other end happy, looking great.
Thank you.
Let me ask you this though, because you have such a regime really every day. You have the personal trainer, you do the lymphatic thing. Is there ever a day that you just say, I don't feel like doing any of this stuff? Do you ever give yourself a day off, or is it just like if you didn't do it, you would feel anxious?
Sundays.
So you give yourself Sundays off where you
I don't do it on Sundays.
So you kind of relax from that.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Yes.
You let go of some of that, because
Yes.
become a slave to that would be a whole nother problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad to hear that. Since we're a fashion focused podcast as well, but I thought your story was so interesting, we had to have you on. But I did read.
Thank you.
I did read chunks of your book. I did read the part about how fashion can age you. So if you could tell our audience, what are some of your tips for anti-aging dressing? Looking, in other words, the goal is you don't want to make yourself look older, or it's not even so much older, but just kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Dowdy. You don't want to look dowdy after a certain age. So what are your fashion tips that you would say to, keep yourself looking fashionable and to the moment and current, that kind of thing?
So you always want to look polished and put together. And I actually talked about this the other day on Instagram, where you want to make sure you're current with your denim. Always have a pair of sunglasses with you to elevate any outfit. And always make sure that your clothes are tailored properly. And I've realized this over time, seeing women, around Miami or wherever I am, where they're dressed from head to toe in designer, but the clothes are ill-fitted.
Yeah.
You're better off going to Zara or H&M, buying an outfit that looks amazing, having it, even if you have to tailor it perfectly to your body, you're going to look so much better than somebody spending $4,000 on a Dior outfit that doesn't fit.
Absolutely.
So I feel like that's a big thing to make sure that everything, and I feel like everybody should have a tailor that they go to, that they like, even if your outfit's not expensive, it doesn't matter as long as it looks good. And to have a nice pair of sunglasses to elevate that outfit, and make sure you're current with your denim, because what's in style or what was in style 2 years ago for denim is not current now.
Right.
That denim really does cycle a lot.
Yeah, it does. And I agree with you totally. Being a petite woman, I'm only 5 feet tall. So I almost always have to have pants shortened, sometimes the sleeves. But I will tell you, Sandy, I agree with you. I have worn a Zara suit that I had tailored, because I always have a good tailor, because when you're petite, you have to have your clothes fitted well. Otherwise, you look, like you said, I don't care if the outfit's $4,000 or $40. I've actually spent more money sometimes on tailoring the outfit than I actually spent on the outfit.
Yes.
To make it look good. But the fit, I agree with you, Sandy, is everything. Because if you're wearing something that's the ill-fitting, baggy, I don't care how much you paid for it, it's not going to make you look good. You need to look, I think if you look polished, you'll look ageless, because there's no such thing as, you're not going to keep up with every single fad. You're not going to dress like a 19-year-old with, cute little bears on your t-shirt, Daisy Dukes on or whatever. That looks fine when you're 16, but you're not going to be wearing that when you're 30, 40.
Wait a minute. What about the miniskirt bandeau that you can't wear at 53?
Well, that was the next question. In Sandy's book, she says nobody wants to see a 50-plus-year-old woman in a bandeau mini dress. But
the micro, the really short, super tight dresses.
Okay.
That you would wear when you're 19 or 20.
Okay. So you're talking like the bodycon kind of stuff.
Yes. Not, I know.
Stuff, and you look fabulous.
Thank you. No, I do wear mini skirts, but I'll wear a mini skirt, but not with a tight top.
Yeah.
So you can't do both. You have to do one or the other. You wear a tight top, then you wear a baggier bottom, but you really can't do both and look.
Or you're not going to wear 3-4 inch heels with a mini skirt, because you're
absolutely not. I'll wear flats.
Wait, what is the reasoning behind this? It's like
well, if you're wearing something short on the bottom, you want to wear something a little bit looser on the top, because otherwise, then, like Sandy said, you're going to have that bodycon mini look that makes you look cheap. It makes you look oversexed. You
look like a tryhard, like you're not in the fertility period you're in. Is that like the?
Well, I don't know if there's a name.
I don't know. I don't know what that.
It's just good fashion. If you're wearing something snug on the bottom. You usually wear something loose on the top. If you're wearing something loose on the top, you're wearing something snug on the bottom. I mean, it's just a reverse. You're not going to be all the way snug, or you're not going to be all the way baggy. Who looks good in something that's completely baggy? Nobody. Who looks
Nobody.
good in something that's, fitted pencil thin to your body and is 2 inches above your hoochie coochie, unless you're 19. So there's
Right.
taste, it's called taste.
Oh, it's called.
And that will age you. That look will age you. I can wear it short. I have on Instagram a short denim mini skirt, but I'm wearing flats, a crop t-shirt with a sweater draped over.
Right.
And it's a cute outfit.
Yeah.
And it's age appropriate.
Right. So you have to have some balance. That's all. It's not to say that you can't wear, because I've worn bodycon dresses. In fact, I wore one to a fashion event, but the bodycon dress fits my body, but it went all the way to my mid shin bone, so way below my knee. It wasn't a mini.
It wasn't a micro. That's what I was referring to in the book.
Yeah.
A very short, tight bodycon type.
And I think I intuitively knew this, but I've never heard this spoken aloud. I
What?
hope you know this.
What?
I've never heard this spoken aloud. Like, age appropriate dress is also about like this knowing when to mix up, knowing when to not do short.
Well, it's just a balance.
Stuff.
It's really.
Well, you could do. This is the thing. You could do short shorts. I wear short shorts. You can do short shorts with a cute top and a blazer.
Yeah,
I do that all the time. Or I could wear jean shorts, denim shorts that are fairly short with like a crop t-shirt and a blazer and ballet flats, and it's a cute outfit.
Right, exactly.
So it's just about elevating something that maybe is a little sexy, just elevating it a little bit to give it a bit of business.
Right.
A bit grown.
So you're not looking like you're trying too hard, or if you want to put it a little bit more on the crass side, you don't look like you're a streetwalker.
Right, that's what streetwalker, and
exactly.
I never heard it verbalized.
But you just don't want to do that. The younger girls who are clubbing and they're 18, 19 years old, they can get away with that. But once you're a certain age, especially once you're a parent, you have a profession, you're not going to want to walk around.
Oh, I was a parent at 18.
Looking, well, that's a different story. You're odd in every way, Melissa.
I know.
Melissa's story doesn't jive with anybody's.
I know.
She's our unicorn, Melissa, here.
Oh, gosh. Wait, so clubbing.
Clubbing.
Are you going to go out clubbing now at 53? Because you are going to be husbandless, doll.
So I started dating at 2 weeks after the separation. I met somebody 2 weeks after, and it was a lot of fun. We dated for 5 months. We were still seeing other people, and I've gone on numerous dates. It's been a lot of fun. I was just in Aspen this weekend. Amazing. Yeah. As far as clubbing, in Aspen, I went to 2 lounges and there was music. I don't normally club, but just because we were there and the group of people we were with, everybody wanted to go and it was fun. I wouldn't do that every weekend, but I definitely go out. And I'm not on an app for dating, but I just get introduced to people. So it's
that's nice.
That is.
Or I'll meet somebody like in Aspen. I met people just by going out.
That's great. To me, and I've been married for 46 years, been with my husband for 50 years. So I've been out of the dating loop for a half a century. Mm-hmm. But when people talk, I was with a bunch of young girls Sunday doing a filming, and they were all talking about the dating apps and Hinge and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I said to them, isn't it kind of creepy? Like, you don't know this person. You've just seen a picture of them, and then you meet them at some location. Isn't it kind of awkward just to like start up the conversations? And they're like, yes. I mean, it doesn't even sound like the young girls enjoy it all that much, but it seems like that's like almost the only way that the younger people can meet each other nowadays. Where I remember when I was younger, I mean, the only way that you met somebody was either through friends, relatives, or through at a nightclub. You'd go dancing and you'd start dancing with somebody and talk, but you spent the evening together, to kind of get to know each other a little. And then you decide if you want to give the guy your phone number or whatever. It wasn't just, I'm looking at a picture, now I'm going to meet this complete stranger at a restaurant. It just seems kind of odd to me, and I don't think the younger girls feel any more comfortable either about it.
Because it's just, Digital life is just another piece of life. It's just another place to meet people. So
Yeah, but
it's a little weird.
It's an odd way to meet people.
I would rather be introduced through
Yeah.
friends.
I have not met anybody digitally. Every person that I've met is either been meeting them out, or I've been introduced to somebody, or I've been set up on a date.
So you have any new projects on the horizon?
Yes, my second book.
Books?
So I allude to the second book in chapter 9 when I was talking about the separations with my ex. The second book is all about the marriage. And I'm keeping the same theme from this book was From Bullshit to Botox. The next book is From Bullshit to Broken Hearts. And it's all about the marriage. It's all about my journey dating at 53. And it's being written now in real time. So I'm ending it at the end of April. I don't have an ending yet. I don't know what's going to happen.
Based on your real life.
It is. It's based on my real life. And it's funny. There will be a lot of experts in the book too, talking about narcissism and just different scenarios that have happened.
I think that's going to be a really fabulous book, because I can tell you just from my own experiences as a therapist in behavioral health, that there are so many people, Sandy, that struggle with the exact same issues that you're struggling with. And I think that will help a lot of people, because if maybe you had read a book like that 20 years ago, maybe you would be in a whole different time of your life right now.
I would have loved. I emphasize that in my book. And I have a good friend right now that's going through a divorce as well, who's 40.
Yeah.
2 small kids, same situation I was in. And I tell her, do not stay because of your kids, because I stayed because I didn't want to break up the family. They do. And I was one of them. I emphasize that in the second book, that you have to leave, no matter what your financial situation is. Do not stay for your kids, because you will regret it. My life would have been a lot easier to date at 38 or 40 than 53, which is okay. I'm fine with that.
Right.
But I definitely should have left, and I would have saved myself 15 years of anxiety.
Exactly.
And being upset and not feeling good about myself.
Just having a better mental health state.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that book, Sandy, that's going to be the really helpful one. Not that this book isn't helpful, I'm sure, to women who are
funny. This one was just supposed to be funny, and I was never expecting it was going to be.
It's, there's nothing, overly dramatic about it.
Mm-hmm.
I would caution that anybody who wants to go in for any kind of serious procedure, because they're just like anything else. There's good doctors, there's bad doctors, like you've witnessed. Make sure that you've done your research and that you feel comfortable with the person who's going to be altering your face, because I've seen multi-millionaire movie stars look horrible after plastic surgery. I mean,
100%.
I hate to say it, but look at Priscilla Presley. I mean, she looked disfigured after one of her initial plastic surgeries, and she was a naturally beautiful woman. So that would be the only concern that I would have, is like you did, Sandy, kind of research the doctors that you're going to, make sure that you're comfortable with them, because it is a commitment. Once they pull that skin back or whatever they do, that's pretty much stuck there unless you go to another doctor to get it unstuck. And then that's a whole nother uncomfortable
even
procedure.
Researching your same doctor if you're going for another procedure, because Sandy, you went to the same doctor twice, and the first time it was great, and the second time it was horrible.
100%.
Yeah. So it's really,
even in that case,
it's really understanding that
you just have to be very careful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, you've been a wonderful guest, and
thank you so much. This has been great. Thank you.
Before we let you go, we like to ask all of our guests, what is if you had to select an era, what is your favorite era in fashion and why?
I love the fashion from the 1960s.
Oh, I love the 60s
yes.
too.
I love the dresses. I love the shoes. I love the little flats. I love the little pants.
The hip huggers.
Yes.
I loved the rib tops. That was the first time we started wearing rib tops, and the hip huggers skirts, and the white go-go boots, and the fishnets. I just loved that whole look myself too. That was really the beginning of, I think that's really kind of the mid 60s, once the Beatles came on the scene and the whole English British look and all that kind of stuff. That was really when I think teenagers started to stop looking like their moms. Up until particular point in time, women just kind of transitioned from childhood to looking like their mothers, like mini versions of their moms. And really, the mid 60s was the time when women were starting to dress more like their age group rather than their moms. Because
Yes.
mothers wouldn't be caught dead at that particular time wearing the mini hip huggers with the fishnets and the go-go boots. That was totally a youth look. So it was the first time that in history that actually youth had like owned their own look.
The youth culture came
It
about.
was really the youth culture came about then, because before then, women just went on to look like their mothers. They always dressed like their moms did, really, and just in a younger, just a little bit younger version. Because even if you go back and look at movies, the women in their 20s are wearing the same clothes as their mothers in their 40s. So I agree with you too, Sandy. The 60s were a great time, and for fashion, and you look fabulous.
Thank you, Sil. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest. And we'd love to talk to you once your new book comes out, because
that would be amazing.
That really sounds like a story that a lot of women probably are going through right now and not telling anybody except maybe one or two girlfriends. And they really don't know what to do. So you've been through it. You've got the experience. I'm sure you've had professional guidance as well, too.
Yes.
And so that will be an important story for other women to hear. So thank you very much, Sandy.
Thank you. Have an amazing day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have one more question for you. What is it? Why don't we dress for dinner anymore? I don't want to listen. We don't. It's me.